If you were given $50,000 so you could chase your dream, what dream would you chase? Use that as a deposit for a home loan. We were able to put down 3%, so like 4.5k, on our home. I live in a cheaper area but it's doable. Not that 4.5k isn't a chunk of change, but it's far easier to come up with than 50k. Where do y'all live at? Housing is so affordable. I was based in Vancouver, Canada, and I'm still depressed I may never afford a house there, so I'm looking to move away to a more realistic place. The Canadian real estate market is mad. Anywhere that isn't a metropolis. 50k can buy you a fairly nice 2-bed 2-bath, where I'm at. But it's con country, so I hope you like nothing to do. Wait, 50k total can buy you a house with no mortgage? That sounds insane. There are 2 bedrooms around me going for 500k and they are not that nice. The dream of taking a goddamn break from life. Right when the pandemic hit, I moved in with my parents to go back to school. Well, obviously I didn't go back yet because COVID. Holy shit. The last year of my life totally changed my perspective. Taking a deep breath and relaxing for a while did my mind untold good. Yeah, for me, it was kind of the opposite. I had extra people move into my house, so things have only gotten more complicated, and my usual breaks are pretty well gone. I need some of that good RLOL. My dream is to retire. That ain't enough. It's enough if you pass away by Wednesday. Cocaine and hookers. Sounds good. The cocaine is great to be efficient with the time he has left, and he also gets to spend some time with his mom. Fix the foundation of my house. I'd sleep better at night for sure. Foundation issues are no joke and expensive as duck. I just went through the same thing. Paying off my bills, because that's about all $50,000 is going to cover. That will cover most of my student loans. Having a bank account with $50,000 in it. Negative balance says hi. New bank account fixes that. Someone's parents didn't give them $1 before the SSN was in. Damn, I finally feel like I'm in the loop for an inside joke for once in my whole entire life. Honestly, I'd just pay down student debt. My dream at this point is to be able to use most of my income to enjoy my life. I make plenty of money to live the comfortable life that I want. But then student loan bills hit and it's a different story. Yup, went to college for a degree that gives me a lucrative career. I make very good money just starting out, graduated last month. But as soon as my student loan bills start hitting in 6 months, then it's as if I'm not making a lot. And the only way I cold made this type of money in the field I really enjoy was to go to school. The only way for me to go to school was to take out private loans. Moral of the story is that college is too damn expensive. What's the ballpark for a lot of money? In regards to what? College? Income? Or both? Also, my definition of a lot could be drastically different from yours or someone else's. Go back to school and actually finish this time. Same here. I started for software, but was a lousy student. 4 years in and still was at least 3 more from graduating because of so many failed classes. If I could go back without adding to my already high student loan balance, then I would. Driving semi-OTR is going to take its toll on me. If you started in software and still have interest, let me suggest, if no one has, to look for a job in tech. I started as tech support, moved to design, and am now project manager. I have big imposter syndrome for not finishing school, but experience and having your name out there can keep you moving forward. I'd buy a dirt farm and race bikes and things like that. You can just buy shitty land in East Texas and let people come ride their bikes and ATVs for a fee. Get yourself a backhoe. Build some berms. It can be as profitable as any farm on the same amount of land all day and twice on Sunday. This is my dream. If I ever win the lottery, I'm going to buy 500 acres and make a dirt bike paradise. It would be cool to try to build a track nice enough to host the Pro Nationals and GNCCs every year. Being debt free. Honestly, move out from my town and just be able to live for a few months on my own while I find a job I moderately enjoy. I'd save the rest and probably invest it later into making my own business someday. But the priority for me now is to get out of my hometown ASAP. Edit WTF 2K upvotes. I almost didn't reply cause I thought no one would care. Thanks guys. Speaking from personal experience, you don't need 50k to do that. I moved from my podunk town to a major city with like 1500 to my name. Found someone looking for a roommate and took the first job I could find to pay the bills while I got settled in. I'd buy a good camera, boots and a sturdy backpack, then travel, make memories and see the landscapes I wanted to see. My wife and I did 4 months in Europe on less than 15k. Lots of PBJs and hostels, but so very worth our time and money. Next year I'm planning to do about 6 months in South America for around 10k by myself. Wish me luck. Buying loads of instruments and learning as much as I can. Like musical instruments. No instruments of torture. Make a movie. Low budget is better than no budget. I'd take a year off of work to build the RPG game I'm always hunting for on Steam but can never find. I'm curious. What's your dream RPG game? What RPG game would you build? I've always been a sucker for infinite games that have a lot of depth to gameplay. It would be an infinite randomly generated dungeon crawler with a RuneScape style crafting skill system in the overworld. There would be very strategic gacha systems that aren't linked to any type of payment. You'd dungeon crawl, collect loot, come back to base to process your rewards and repeat. Ideally it would have Warcraft 3's graphics but sharper. If RuneScape, Diablo 2, Path of Exile, and Xenoblade 2 were all mixed together. There's a custom server on Neverwinter Nights, the 2001 RPG, not the MMO, that is hardcore RP, has a lot of depth to its magic and crafting systems. Most of the server's lore and history is built by or from player involvement. Lots of fun. I always like Richard Pryor's answer in Brewster's Millions. If you've not seen it, man inherits 30 million and has to spend it in 30 days with no assets, pretty much same thing as OP. At one point he buys the world's rarest stamp and mails it to the bad guys, making the stamp completely worthless. Haruf Van converted into my ultimate mobile nail salon. Set up to do both manicures and pedicures in. Entirely off-grid ready. Also pay off my current vehicle. And buy gifts for family. I gotta say, off-grid nail salon has to be the most interesting answer in this thread. Play the WhatsApp main event. Y'all still have dreams. Some of us are just too stubborn, too stupid and too angry to give up. I usually talk about discipline being the key to most things, which is true, but I hate to admit it, blind rage has gotten me. There's some rather soul-crushing events. I wanted to rip the universe a new one, so I dragged my sorry ass out of bed and got back in the fight. Duck you soul-crushing universe, I'm not going to let you win. Start my own security service. Rent and furnish an art studio so I could finally do more work and learn again. Or get my GF the surgery she needs and go travel to Japan for a bit. Not enough to chase dream. I will use to pay off mortgage or student debt. Flying lessons. Get my private pilot's license. Something I've always dreamed of but never had the spare cash. I'm not sure what country you're in, but a people in the UK and US costs around 8,000, 10,000, which is maybe a bit more accessible than 50k. There are ways to get under 10,000. For example, some places have deals where you can bulk buy 5 or 10 lessons at a time and save some cash. Though be wary of schools offering deals like this, as there is risk involved. And as always, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Along the powered fixed wing route, you could also fly microlights, which is cheaper still. I've had just as much fun flying microlights as I have flying big powered stuff. Despite what anyone may say, gliders are the cheapest fixed wing to fly and are a stunning way to get around. They're extremely cheap to learn to fly, and you get just as many skills. Your local gliding club will have specific rates, but glider launches are around 5 for a winch and 30 for a aero tow. Plus 30p minute for the glider. That's around 20-30 an hour, which beats the 100-hour powered costs. A slightly different route to getting airborne, if fixed wing flight is still a little too expensive, is flying parameters. The FAA's ANCAA UK governing bodies over airspace rules and regs classifies parameters under ultralights, and you don't need a license, medical, or anything to fly them. You could in theory just get up and go. Although this is not a smart choice. A good training course costs around 2k, which is definitely easier than 50k, or even the 10k of a people, and you could get gear after that when you know you're into it. Plus, flying parameters, whilst you still have to abide by all the airspace rules and regs, you have loads more freedom to fly around your local areas, or throw it in the car and go on a trip. They're a super cheap and accessible way to fly. Summer is coming up. It could be the perfect time to learn. I know this wasn't really the place for this reply, but it might give you some cheaper options to go flying private, and might help realize the dream. I'd start my own business. 50k would get me all of the main equipment and software licenses I'd need to do it. Not cleaning toilets, working a cash register, or breaking my body just to earn enough money to live. LOL. I would pay half my student debt. Having a good vehicle and taking some classes at the community college. I've always wanted to be able to make nice looking displays for Lego collections. An animal sanctuary. These people do so much good, their programs are so underfunded. Plus I've always wanted a pet donkey, so there's that. Becoming a homie winner. 50k doesn't buy much anymore. What would you do if you win 1 million? I would pay off my debtors. What about the rest? The rest will have to wait until I win more. Inhales. Honda Integra Type RDC2 98 spec. Leave everything behind and start a new life. 2 chicks at the same time. Edit. Somehow I always knew my top rated comment would have something to do with this quote. With 50k I'd be able to pay a good psychiatrist, and hopefully that will help my friend fight her depression. Pay off my student debt. Go back to school and be a teacher. Pays off student debt. Immediately acquires more student debt. Pay for my PhD in full. Have you started it yet? Or already finished but have debt? If you haven't started, you should be able to get an assistantship to cover the entire cost. Not sure what country you're in or which field, but most all in the US award assistantships to their students. If they don't, it's usually an indication that they are not confident in your application enough. Of course, everyone's circumstances are different, and it's possible you finished already and incurred loans along the way because life. If you haven't started yet, though, I can perhaps offer some advice. PhD 2015. Zero debt. Humanities prof. I would get my pilot's license and purchase a small plane with a hangar on a nearby airfield. If I have extra money I would also learn to service it and repair it myself. Something that I can't even do on a car to this day. I think I could fit it within 50k, but I'm not sure. Pilot here. Just throwing out some realistic costs. Pilot's license 10k conservative estimate. Cessna 150, 35k. Hangar 60k is the cheapest I've ever seen a hangar sold for, and most start at over 100k. Aircraft AP Mechanic School 30k conservative estimate. A few notes: 5 years ago you could buy a Cessna 172 for 30k, which has 2 more seats and 50% more power than a Cessna 150, but the cost has skyrocketed since then. One of the most expensive parts of flying is actually the operating costs. Annual maintenance inspections cost 2k starting out, and that's assuming nothing is wrong with it. Fuel is expensive. Engine has to be overhauled every 2000 flight hours, which costs 20k easy. Now obviously this whole situation is hypothetical, but I thought I would take the opportunity to show how expensive aviation has become. Would allow us to finally go to my family-in-law. They live across the ocean, so we can go visit the grave of my recently deceased father-in-law. I'd open up a hot dog cart in New York City. I'd grind and fill my own hot dogs with natural casings and 100% grass-fed beef. I'd bake my buns fresh every morning. I'd make my own ketchup, mustard and relish from scratch. All dogs grilled to order. None of this dirty hot water BS. Since I'd hot smoke all my dogs, They'd only need us here to get 'em hot. Ready in 3 minutes. That's it. Just really friggin' good hot dogs. That's my dream. It's going to a lawyer. I want my kids back. Their mom is the abuser, and I'm stable with a healthy support group. It's been acknowledged. But the Oregon courts believe mother is always best. AMC 200 calls. $50,000 is enough to boot a relatively nice martial arts facility, so I could employ both myself and a few of the people I have seen that are extremely good. This way I could be a driving force in the development of athletes. Start my own mental health charity for under 18s. The NHS has the service CAMHS, but the support they give doesn't provide what most children and teenagers need from a mental health service. My dream is to be able to provide that across the UK at the very least, as these years are huge in determining what someone's future will be like. Invest in some filming and editing equipment and a small studio space to get my entertainment career going.